We getting to game 7, y'all. We getting to game 7. So listen, the Nuggets forced a game 7 after a super game from a lot of their role players and Jokic having a great game as well. There's a lot more I can talk about with that. That's going to come soon, though. But lastly, I just got to say a few words about the series that just ended, the Warriors versus the Timberwolves. As you know, I'm a Warriors fan. All I got to say is, Pods, I don't care about you dropping that many points in the last game. You pissed me off all playoffs. Draymond, you're cool. Jimmy, I guess you were like sick or like still injured from the Rocket series, but I don't give a fuck. What I said last video and the video before that about you not showing effort or not pulling up, all y'all needed to do was get one game, and it just didn't happen. We need to make a move. We need to get more role players off our bench. I really like Buddy Hield. His attitude is something that we need on our team, and he's a good locker room guy. And I know that's not what you really want to say, but like I've seen a lot of my teams make it to the finals. They've all had very good locker room guys, so it's just like something that we all need. Every team needs a good locker room guy, man. Will we be back next year? That's a different question for a different time. We'll probably keep that for the pod, but yeah. Anthony Edwards is the real deal. I think they're going to make the finals regardless of who make it out the West. They just have that momentum right now. They've beaten a team that everybody thought was going to beat them with the Lakers. And this series was kind of a letdown because of the Curry injury in Game 1. But you still got to give them credit. They beat us. You know what I mean? We had a chance to take games and we just didn't because they were outplayed us. But heading on to the series that actually matters. We're going into the OKC Thunder versus Nuggets game. And for this game, I got a little something different for y'all. But I'm going to just say what I saw from when I was watching. Shit. OKC is still struggling in the same places that I thought they'd be struggling in. They can't shoot three ball. They can't shoot three ball that well. They're not the best 3-point shooting team. They went 11 for 40 this game, which reinforced my thoughts while watching. And their best 3-point shooters can't really play in this series. Like Isaiah Joe is that much of a negative defender where it's like I don't want him on the court. And Aaron Wiggins just doesn't really have a spot that really is like substantial enough for him to really get moments at all. The Nuggets role players came to play. Christian Braun, 23 points. Julian Strawther with 15 points. All in the second half. All of it in the second half. 8 points in 3 minutes in that third quarter. Just took advantage of his role. Was able to really find his step in this game. And I'm really happy for him because I am a fan of Julian Strawther's game. Pretty sure he's out of Gonzaga. I remember him coming out of college. Thought he was going to be a good player. Kind of got lost in the shuffle with the Nuggets for a little bit. But I do think he still has potential to be a pretty good player in this league. MPJ, I don't know what's going on with his shoulder injury. I swear to God, I have no idea. They said at one point he couldn't put it over his head, but now he's just like chilling, I guess. He can shoot the ball well. He had 2 threes this game. That's all you really need from him is 2 to 4 threes a game. Effort on the defensive end. No need to play him more than 30 minutes. Y'all good. But the scary thing about this series to me when I'm the OKC Thunder is experience-wise in Game 7s, I think the Thunder have only been to 1 with this current team, and I think it was last year against the Dallas Mavericks. If that went to 7, let me actually see. Let me see how many games that went to. Sorry for that. But, like, while I do that, I'm going to just talk. The Nuggets, in comparison, have been to 7 or, like, 8 in the last few years with Jokic and Jamal Murray and stuff. So, like, to see that type of experience gap is scary. And they also have the best player in the series. I know it's kind of a debate, MVP, but sure, you can debate MVP. We're not debating best player. Shea is not better than Jokic. Jokic is the best player in the league. So, like, going into Game 7 is kind of hard not to pick the best player. Even though last year, Jokic did lose as the best player. Blew a 17-point lead to Anthony Edwards, but I just don't think something like that's going to happen again. I'll give my full-on prediction later with that, but let me see. No, I went to 6. Okay. So they haven't had a Game 7. They haven't had a Game 7 with this current construction of the team. And I know Shea's been to a Game 7 against Houston, but that was when he was still coming up. You know, he was a role player next to Chris Paul and stuff. Role player, by role player, I mean, he was still there. I think he was a leading scorer that year, but he definitely wasn't the Shea that we know now. So it's very interesting to see how they play in their first Game 7. My eyes is really on J-Dub. He was an all-star this season. Deserved all-star in a lot of people's eyes. I'm not going to say here or there if I think he should have been an all-star. I think he's a very skilled player. I think he's a great defender. And a great person to have around in your locker room. He's a great fucking guy. But yeah, this is like the type of person that you want to play around. And so far in this series, at least, it's been tour dates, bro. It's been tour dates. Other than that 30 ball in the overtime game, 2 for 13, 5 for 14, 3 for 16 last night. Let me see. And then 5 for 20. So in all the games that they've lost, there's been one common denominator, basically, except for the overtime game, of course. It's J-Dub. J-Dub hasn't really shown up. He had a good game otherwise. I think he played great defense, and I also think he was passing the ball well, distributing well. But other than that, I need J-Dub to do something that we like. I talked about this on the pod the other day, where they're like, oh yeah, Pods is a plus rebounder for a guard. That's cool when you're doing what you're supposed to do. J-Dub is there to be not a 3-and-D, a Swiss Army knife. Swiss Army knives are expected to score. So to end the game with 6 points in 38 minutes, I don't care about what else you did. That is what you're on the court to do. You're on the court to score at least 20. Help Shea out there be an actual like disturbance on the defensive end while also being like someone they have to care about on the offensive end. Because this is the reason why the Nuggets are in the series right now. They don't care about anybody but Shea, and it's working, and we're seeing it work continuously. But the other thing that I have for y'all is I have a few OKC fan friends, and they sent me a few of their takes because I asked them. Let me see some. Okay, so this one is from Devin. He said, J-Dub can't shoot March 16th because that's the efficiency would translate to March 16th. We had to play without fouling. Can't have Shea have 4 fouls in the first half. Yeah, that definitely ruined them in the going into the third quarter because he couldn't really play starting off the third quarter, coming in with 4 fouls. And that's when the Nuggets started taking advantage of them. They came back into this game. So I do agree with those takes, just to see the disparity, like the differences going into this. In the second quarter, they had the lead. The biggest lead they had was 12 in the second quarter. But then going into the fourth, after Shea started getting into foul trouble, having 4, the third quarter, the Nuggets win that by 11, and that's when Julian Strawther went on his run. And that's when like the whole team basically went on their run. And this is probably one of Jokic's best games of the series so far. I know last game I think he had around like 30, but he had 44 and 15. Never mind. I was about to say, like, they halted his offense when it comes to, like, passing the ball. But when you have 44 and 15, I can't really say this is one of your worst games. His worst game is definitely, I'd say, game 4. One of the games where he was shooting, like, 8 for 30. Like, he had a bad game. Game 1, he was excellent, though. And he's just had a very good playoffs. But this is one of his better games when it comes to his full-on performance. He was able to get the ball moving around with the team. The team was actually able to make their shots this game, which they weren't able to last game. So, when coming into this game, coming into Game 6, I was thinking Game 5, Jokic came up to play, but nobody else did. And OKC, everyone came, like, out to play. This was the opposite, and we're seeing the differences in their teams. But another take I have is from my guy Javon. Shout out my boy Javon. It says, Shea played good, but his 30 isn't cutting anymore. If he wants to establish himself, if he wants to establish himself as one of the greats, we need a dominant performance, 40-plus type performance. I do agree he needs to, like, okay, I know people don't really call him an all-time great, but I will. I think he's on the way of becoming an all-time great. Jason Tatum a few years ago against the Bucks, he had a 40 ball, I think. Wait, let me actually see what game it was. Jason Tatum, Game 7. His highest Game 7 game, I think it might have been a 60 or 50. Like, it was a crazy one. He went crazy. What fucking year was that? Was it Game 6? Yeah, he dropped 46, I think. Okay. Yeah. Like, he showed up to play, and he was like, we're not losing in this series. Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, this loud-ass horn. But, what's it called? He came to play because they were down 3-2 to the Bucks at one point, and they were on the verge of losing the semifinals. We need to see a game like that from Shea. Up next, it says J-Dub is playing bad when it comes to experience. It comes down to experience, but also needs something else on the court if he's not going to score. I feel like he has been. I feel like he's been well-rounded when it comes to his defending. He's been a good passer, but I think his scoring is what makes him valuable. like OKC already has so many players that do that shit where it's like, okay, they can rebound and they can distribute the ball, but what they really need is J-Dub to score. They got Alex Caruso already. They got Lou Dort. They got Isaiah Hartenstein. So they just need somebody who can be there with Shea whenever Shea's off or whenever they're focusing on Shea. They need someone to be like, okay, I can take the ball to Shea's hands, get my own bucket. And he hasn't been that this series. And we can't let the role players beat us. Only Joker. Julian Strawther shouldn't have 15 points. I agree. Role players really dictated this game. The fact that Christian Braun dropped 21 and 11. If you're letting Christian Braun drop 21 and 11, you're not going to win a game. And if he has a game like this again, there's no way they win the series. And Julian Strawther coming in and just catching fire. I understand it's the playoffs, so sometimes role players have those games, but it's just a bad time, bro. It's a bad time. It says too many petty fouls. The pressure we had in the last 2 minutes needs to be like that all game. Yeah, I feel like the fouls that OKC gets sometimes are really dumb. I feel like the mindset when it comes to OKC and like fouling is just due to their youth. I think sometimes they think, oh, I only have 2 fouls, I can do this foul here. When in reality, you should be trying not to get fouls at all because you might need them later in the game, or like it might hinder your defense, like how it did for Shea later in the game. He really couldn't defend the way he wanted to because he had 4 fouls halfway through the game already. Like, you can't just let that happen. And then he also said a hot take to me, which is Jamal Murray might be the best player to never make an All-Star game. So this game, Jamal Murray comes in sick. I remember he had the flu. He comes in, drops 25, 8, and 7, and he was probably one of their best players in the game, in my opinion at least. I think he played great. Best player to never make an All-Star game, though, he's up there. I really do think he's up there. He's a very skilled player. I think there's players like CJ McCollum, though, who have like similar career arcs, but I do respect the take, especially after the game he had today. And the game he had last series to close it out, I believe he dropped 42 points. Like, he has these playoff moments where like the fans of basketball or just the fans of the Nuggets in general come in and they're like, yeah, he's better than blase blah, like he's better than Trae Young. They say shit like that all the time. And then this regular season, he comes in, does the same little 17 and 7 that he always does. So it's really hard to gauge like Jamal Murray as a player. But damn, when he has games like this, it's hard to deny. And another thing I have to bring up about this game when it comes to the Nuggets is the coach. I believe it's Rick Adelman. I might be getting mixed up with his dad because his dad was also a coach back in the day. But he knows when to play players and when not to play players. Because, for example, Russell Westbrook for most of this game was not really contributing on the offensive end. And when they brought him in, they didn't look the best, especially in the first half. In the second half, he started playing better defense. But in the first half, he wasn't really a positive player. So he only played 17 minutes today, which is a low for the playoffs. That might be his low for the series. Like the game before 20, the game before 27, 22, 22, 30. So for him to play under 20 minutes in a game is just showing that the coach knows, I understand this is my guy, but I have to make an adjustment coming into the half or we're going to just lose the series. This is something that a lot of coaches don't do. Like Doc Rivers doesn't really do it. He doesn't make much adjustments. Mike Budenholzer doesn't make many adjustments. So it's just like seeing a young coach make this adjustment is why the Nuggets were so comfortable with firing Mike Malone with 9 games left in the season. But coming into Game 7, it's coming up on Sunday. Today, right now, just a quick prediction. Today is Game 6 of Boston versus Knicks. I think the Knicks take this game. There's no way Jaylen Brown has 10 assists again. I'm sorry. I just don't see him having 10 assists. But shout out to the Knicks for making it to the conference finals. Knicks versus Pacers. Leaving that for the pod, brother. Leaving that for the pod. But yeah. Coming into Game 7, I had OKC in 7 when this series began. But the more that I've seen is just like OKC has kind of not disappointed me. It's more so like they've shown their age a lot more than I thought they would in this series. And like their deficiencies that they didn't really show during the season because they were able to play players like Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, they're much more glaring now because the players that they can play, like Ihart and Caruso, are on the court and they're glaring deficiencies. Like their deficiencies are shooting in general. So like Denver can just leave Alex Caruso and Lou Dort open for a while. And I understand Lou Dort might be considered a good shooter by a lot of the fans. To NBA teams across the like league, he would never be respected as a shooter. Just understand that if you're an OKC fan, it's not disrespectful. It's just the fact that, like, out of everybody here, who would I rather have shooting? 100% it is Lou Dort. So they're going to leave him open. Same thing with Caruso. Y'all not going to bring in Isaiah Joe. He can't defend. Y'all not going to bring in Aaron Wiggins because he hasn't been good at all this entire series. So they're just looking at those deficiencies and eating on them. So I think I'm going to have to go with Denver. I can see OKC winning this game. But if OKC loses, what moves do they make? If Denver loses, what moves do they make? Because both teams have shown deficiencies in this series, which makes sense because they're the two best teams in the West, in my opinion. So, like, I expect them to show these things, but it's hard. Like, it's hard to imagine a future that both of these teams go through. Like, does Sam Presti just sit on his hands and go, we showed that we're the youngest team in the league. We're the first seed. We had an historic season. We just went against a more experienced team and lost? Or is he looking at his players like J-Dub came through, had a shitter series. Chet didn't really improve this season. Like, Lou Dort is still being targeted after we let go of Josh Giddey because he was being targeted. So, like, what is their mindset heading into the playoffs? The Nuggets could be like, Jamal Murray hasn't really improved. You could even say, like, Christian Braun is looking like he's at his height. You could trade him for somebody who's going to help more immediately. Russell Westbrook, question mark. There's a lot of question marks for every team. And the biggest question mark, in my opinion, for the Nuggets that I didn't even mentioned yet, Michael Porter Jr. He has a past max contract right now. So it's not currently a max. It's like 35. But when he signed, it was a max. Do you move him for a piece that would probably fit Jokic better? Or is there even a piece that fits Jokic better than a person who just wants to catch the ball and shoot that bitch immediately? What is the thought process for these front offices? What is the thought processes for the players? Like, there's a lot of interesting shit behind the scenes that's going to happen after this series ends. But most importantly, we're about to see a fucking Game 7. We about to see a Game 7. This is like the fourth Game 7 of this playoffs because we played the Rockets in the Game 7. Who else had Game 7? I swear there was more than one. I swear. Fuck, I'm tripping. The Pacers didn't go to Game 7. The Celtics didn't go to Game 7. The Knicks went to a Game 6. Great series, though. That was a great one. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's been multiple Game 7s. The Clippers versus Nuggets. That was the other Game 7. Disappointing. Still a Game 7, though. Disappointing as hell. James Harden, your chain is getting snatched. But disappointing as hell. But thank y'all for tuning in for another 1v1 with Ted. I'm just really excited to see what's going on with this next series, bro. I want to see the conference finals. Really hyped for this playoffs. This playoffs has been great. The only real downside is that the injuries have been nasty, but it's been a great playoffs nonetheless. But thank y'all. Peace.